Hello. I figured I'd talk about some of the books that I've been reading recently, and recently is a bit of a vague term, in the past year at least. And I don't have very many, but these are all good books, so if you like reading and whatever, then, check them out. But we're gonna start with, everything's backwards. Drive. The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us. This one is about motivation, and it goes through the 3 systems of motivation. I think it calls it Motivation 3.0 because of System 1 being very natural motivations, like evolutionary motivations of fearing the animal and being hungry and eating. Those are, motivations for survival. Then motivation 2.0 being rewards and punishments. So if you sell this car, you get a commission, or, if you don't turn in your assignment on time, you get a 0. And that motivation 2.0 is kind of what we've built society around. And the book puts motivation 3.0 as what comes next, in being more intrinsically motivated to actually do what you think is worthwhile and meaningful. And you yourself see the value in what you do, and it motivates you to yourself to do that work. And it's by Daniel H. Pink. Drive. Then my next read was a Christmas present. It's a very short book and a very old book by Virginia Satir called Making Contact, and it's got this cute little hummingbird on the front. And it's a very thin book, but it is kind of similar to another book I read called Difficult Conversations that I don't have on me right now. But it's Difficult Conversations is a little bit broader. It focuses on more topics of having conversations with people through understanding your identity, understanding the actual conflict's nature. So oftentimes what you're arguing about isn't what you really mean. And there was a beautiful story that encapsulated it really well of, if you are getting a divorce and the child's favorite toy is Legos, and you fight and fight and fight for these Legos, you're not fighting for the Legos, you're fighting for the kid's affection. And that's kind of is what finding the root of the conflict is. And then also trying to understand the emotions behind the conflict of how you feel about it and how they feel about it, and trying to work those out. But instead, Making Contact, the book that I am actually reading, go read Difficult Conversations too, that one's really good. But Making Contact is about kind of not conflict oriented, but instead of actually being able to emotionally connect with people. And it has this really nice line that's you have very few actual friends in life, and friends being people with that you have an emotional connection with, that you don't put up this facade of who they think you are, but actually understand you deeply and internally. And that is what Making Contact is about, how to make contact and find those friendships. And it goes through the 5 freedoms, because every relationship is different, but they all require a sense of autonomy in the relationship. And those senses of autonomies are the freedoms that people need to feel like they have in that relationship. The freedom to like express themselves, I think, is one of them. Because if you can't, then you are kind of beholden to the fear of retribution if you were to express yourself. And my final book that I haven't finished reading, but I think deserves to be talked about, is The Comfort Crisis, which I also got for Christmas. Embrace Discomfort to Reclaim Your Wild, Happy, Healthy Self by Michael Easter. And it's got a door to a mountain. And it's a very hunting-centric book, because that's kind of what the whole narrative behind it is, because there's this narrative of him going on a hunting trip, and then he puts little tidbits of information about like studies backing why he felt this way during the trip, of getting uncomfortable and how that really improves your life. And the hunting trip as a whole is a very like compelling story with, you know, like stakes and emotions. And I haven't seen another book that's kind of written this way, that's really compelling to read in itself, but also sprinkles in a bunch of very useful facts and information. And the main idea, I guess, is in the title, that people are getting way too comfortable in life, and it's causing them to find problems that aren't really that problematic. Because our brains were wired to find problems and to not get bored. And so if we don't want to be bored, then we'll just find a problem to solve. But those problems can be very inane, and this kind of effect that comfort has on your life, in a broader term, can make people insufferable, where they complain about all the problems they have, even though they're not really that problematic. And he, the author, Michael Easter, goes and hunts in the Alaskan bush of like no man's land, pretty much, and gets uncomfortable, and then talks about like different ways to implement adding discomfort into your life, so that you get that broader perspective of being okay that, you know, you're a little colder than you'd like, and building up this tolerance for discomfort that really is what we were built on evolutionarily to be uncomfortable for a long time, and then getting used to that discomfort. Right now, a lot of people are used to this comfort maximizing lifestyle of sleeping on a mattress and wearing very climate controlled clothing for whenever you're going between your climate controlled buildings in your climate controlled car. That's very comfortable life, and if you were to spend more time, physically engaging with the discomforts of life, of going through, miles of snowy woods to go hunt something, then when you get back to that comfortable life that you still have, you have that perspective of things right now are actually really, really nice, and you get a lot more gratitude for what you have instead of being insufferable. And so those are the 3.5 books that I have read and think you should read. Anyways, toodles.